Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello to the Chatbox Breakfast Show. Another Thursday morning, 8 a.m., bright and breezy. Last Thursday of January already. Where is the time disappearing? 1 minute ago, it was Christmas, and we were talking about decorations and festivities. And then a minute later, it's the last Thursday in January. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well indeed. It's been a great week, super busy, lots going on. It seems like everyone's back into the full swing of things. As you said, it was Christmas and there's a whole wind down part, and early January it's a little bit sluggish and a little bit slow. And then all of a sudden, boom! It's like, everyone just woke up and, really busy and having lots of fun already at this early stage in the year. So really good. And I know you're not in your normal place today, Nick. You're hiding away in a cubbyhole somewhere in the Reading area. Tell us more.
I am. I'm on tour. I'm on tour on a client's site, in one of their, let's say, soundproof booths. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I like being out on the road. I've also noticed something else, mate. We're not in our usual positions either. Look at us. Look at us shaking it up.
Should we add and deck? Should we kind of flick it? There we go. Look, we're round the right
it feels
way
far
now.
more comfortable. Far more comfortable. If you've seen the show before, ladies and gents, you'll know I always sit on this side of the table, and Mr. David Bell sits there, just like Ant and Dec always stand in the right locations. Ladies and gents, this is a show, as always, just for you. A show entitled "What Don't We Know Enough About?" Now, that could be a huge list of stuff we don't know enough about that yet. Now, we're not daft, mate. We're professionals, let's say. So we know stuff. Last week's show was Ask Us Anything. Turns out we know some stuff where there's other stuff we don't know, but it's okay. We can rely on experts to help us out. So we thought today we'd dedicate a whole show to what don't we know enough about. So, lovely audience, get involved. Let us know the sorts of things that you don't know enough about that actually we should know more. We should do more research. We should look into that because we don't know enough about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that I always say, and I've used the expression many times here on the show. Every day is a school day. Every day you're learning something new. Every day, if you're looking, you will find something that you knew nothing about, and it'll be like, wow, that's great. And of course, we're like sponges. We want to absorb more information, but there's a whole world out there to be explored. There's so much information, digital information, conversational information to be absorbed as well. And what we want to do today is to kind of learn something new. I want to walk away after today's show learning something knowing something new that I never knew before I sat down here and had this wonderful chat with you this morning, Nick, and our audience as well. For example, good morning, Donna. Hope you're well. Woohoo! It's the 51st of January already. Did we say the 31st of January? Did we get that wrong? And
nope. Last Thursday in January is what we've said. But Donna's
Thursday in January. There we go.
Donna's absolutely right. Time is moving so quick. It's the 51st of January, and tomorrow is the 18th of February, and the day after, the 73rd of February. So if you're listening to this slightly confused, then you're in great company.
There you go. I didn't know enough about that because I just got confused. It doesn't take a lot sometimes to confuse me. We've got lots of little topics we want to touch on today, and we're going to really appreciate any feedback that the audience want to share, maybe a topic they want to throw into the mix as well. But last week, when we were talking about, Ask Us Anything, which went down an absolute storm, by the way. Thank you for all your feedback. We had lots of feedback offline after the show saying, love it, great format, really informative. It was great fun, energetic. So we're going to be doing more of that as well. Very, very soon. So watch out for Ask Us Anything show appearing probably in the next few weeks or so. Certainly in February, we're going to have one. But from the back of that, we talked about things like AI art. So I want to kick off there, really. We tried to get the expert on here today, who is a friend of the show, commented last week as well. Very, very well known in the art world. If you've seen him on our previous shows, a mass of knowledge and information. And unfortunately, he's a very busy man. He couldn't make it with us today, but we have got him booked. He's coming on the 16th of February. So do pop that in your diary now, because we want to quiz him more about AI art. Now, he's a traditional art collector, runs galleries, collects some big stuff like Banksy, originals and stuff like that as well. And we want to put it to him and ask the question, does AI art, i.e. this place where you can go in, put a few keywords and it generates art, does it have a place in today's world? And is it really art? And what is art? Because is it something I like, you like, the audience like? We've all got opinions. So it'd be really interesting to get his feedback.
It certainly would. It's something that we don't know enough about. Generally, AI, where is it going to fit? What differences will it make to our world? Certainly, if you work in the creative industry, are you looking over your shoulder saying, well, AI is coming up fast, and it's as good as, if not better than me in producing certain content? I know the comment last week was, the human and the mistakes kind of make art what it is. But most people just want, quality graphics, and AI can produce them like that. I simply don't know enough about potentially how AI and all its various different versions will affect me and my business going forward. What bits can I introduce, maybe to take care of some of the stuff that I don't like doing, and what bits will AI replace in what I thought I was really good at. I was a specialist in, then there's some AI dude right behind me saying, nah, you're not as good as you think you are, Nick, because I can do it much better and much quicker, and basically for nothing.
Yeah. And speed is the big thing. I'm going to share some AI art very shortly, but when you put in your 3 keywords there's lots of different platforms out there now. We were talking about ChatGPT last week. There's a number of different platforms that you can experiment with, have a play with. And I'm using Jasper, which does art as well as other contexts like text and stuff like that. So there's lots of options to have a play with. But I had a play around with a product a couple of months ago now. I think it was just before Christmas. And I'm just going to share, I just uploaded my photo, or about 8 different selfie type photos. And this is what it produced. It come up with all of and I got 100, by the way. So this is just a small selection of me in AI art. And this was rendered and shared with me in the matter of minutes. I think the whole lot, all 100, because you had to pay for it. There's lots of things out there where you can trial it for a few days, but that particular thing, to get 100 of those out, and I wanted to see how good it was. I think it cost me £3.50 or $5 or something like that. It was very cheap. And it rendered all these various images of me. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, some of them are not perfect. I get, you look at them, but you get the idea. And we're at the infancy of this kind of technology. People are saying this year, 2023, is where AI, that artificial intelligence, is going to boom. So the question is, we don't know enough about it. Where is it going to take us? What's going to happen?
We do not know enough about it. If you're listening to this on the podcast, try and catch up on the video, because what we saw was a collection of Mr. David Bell looking mighty fine in rendered artwork. I'm led to believe you've the whole 100. You've printed them all out, and they're all over your home. Is that correct? You've got them on every wall.
I've got frames, different frames, different walls. You walk around. I have this nice collage of David Bells on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the home of a serial killer when he's got 100 rendered pictures of himself on the walls. But yeah, we don't know enough about it. And I imagine some people know a lot more than we do. And chances are it won't be long before school leavers know a lot more than we do about what AI can do. They'll come into the business. They'll say, yeah, you don't need to do any of that because AI can take care of it. Let me show you how. Bish, bash, bosh, all done. And then suddenly you can let half your staff go because some kids come in and pressed a few buttons, and it works more efficiently. You've suddenly turned into an Amazon blooming warehouse overnight, and the robots are taken over. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking like an old man. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I think there's a huge future here. I think what this is going to do, people say this is going to steal or take other people's jobs. It's going to take the carpenter's job and stuff like that. But look, of course, it's going to speed up processes. In some cases, probably do it better as well. Certainly more efficiently and faster. But what I think it's going to do is going to create new jobs. It's evolution at the end of the day. What we're doing, the innovation is driving evolution. We're seeing change. So yes, certain roles will disappear, but new roles, new jobs, new careers will come around. And I think that's part, if you look through history, that's what we've always seen. We've seen this evolution. Technology has, from going back from, the steam engine and, even, the car and stuff like that, we've seen transition. So I don't think we should be stopping it and putting the brakes on. I think we should be a little bit cautious. I think there should be some cautions thrown to the wind. But I think it's a good thing. But then I love technology.
Yeah, there's no stopping it. All right, this is progress. This is the evolution of tech. This is Web 3.0 or whatever it's going to be called. I'm just wondering at what point do I become a Luddite and I'm no longer functional. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. And will I always have a place because I have a unique voice, and I'm not afraid to flex that? Or does AI take over the most chunky part of what I do? I don't know enough about it yet. We'll see. I'll give it a run for its money, but we'll see.
Yeah. So if you haven't had a play around with all this new AI stuff that's kind of come into fruition, give it a go. I know if you want to try something like ChatGPT, they're not taking on any new users, or they weren't earlier this week. They've just inundated with so many people trying to sign up with it. Their servers
because we mentioned it on the show, you see.
I know. It's amazing what a shout out does, isn't it? All of a sudden, we break their servers and they're having to close the doors and keep people away. But keep an eye on it. I'm sure they'll open up more spaces. You can put yourself on a guest waiting list. Very clever. Maybe they have capacity. They're just now creating exclusivity, which is very smart. That's what we should all do in our businesses if we can. Create exclusivity. Make it that people want it so much that they put themselves on a waiting list and potentially pay a higher price to get hold of the goods as well. But if you haven't had a chance, get yourself onto something like ChatGPT, have a look around. But as I say, just start playing with some of the other platforms that are out there. You'll be blown away what the technology even now can do. And I promise you, there's so much technology advancement that's going to come this year and beyond. I think it's going to actually blow so many people's minds, even at this stage. It is pretty mind-boggling. I did some training last week with a client, and they write a lot of content, and she's a marketeer, and she's excellent at what she does. Can't take that away. But I said, look, let me show you something. And she was very, very skeptical. When I showed her within half an hour what it can do, how it can work, and the benefits of it, she was like, wow. Now, she knows she can add her own twist and story to it and, make it individualized and personalized. But to get the content writing going, she was like, this is just amazing. Just for getting chapters and top tips and stuff like that. Absolutely, amazed at what it could do. And that's coming from a marketeer that's brilliant at their job. Possibly a little bit worried about what that future looks like for them as a writer.
Probably doesn't know enough about it at this point.
Probably.
I'll tell you something else I don't know enough about, and I have I've dabbled, so I'm in the space a bit, but I don't know enough about it by a long way. VR, AR, MR, XR. I've dabbled in VR, so as you know, and we've talked about it in the past, I have a couple of headsets, and it's phenomenal. It's bonkers. You kind of put your headset on. It's really immersive. I very early on using it, ended up punching the wall playing a game and lost any kind of clue of where I was. Ended up punching the wall. My son thought it was very funny. He could have warned me, but very funny. It's very immersive. I just don't know enough about it around what do I do with it and where does it go? You know more than I do, mate, because you know what the AR, the XR, the MR, the Chatbox PR all stands for.
Yeah. Well, let's just fill in them blanks for the people that are not too sure. I'm thinking, what are these guys talking about this morning? You've probably all heard the same VR, so virtual reality. We've then got sit alongside that AR, which is augmented reality, MR, which is mixed reality. So it's kind of bringing bits of this together, and XR, which is extended reality, which is kind of the umbrella term for encapsulating all of those different technologies into one place. Now, in a nutshell, lots of people have probably seen the adverts or maybe seen a friend or someone like Nick putting on the headsets and kind of entering into an immersive world. The VR is kind of a digitally created world. So you kind of there, you see, you can play games, you can use Google. I know you can mention a little bit about that, but you can go down to outside street level, walk around cities and see buildings, and amazing. But with the AR, you can then kind of overlay with it. So you can kind of bring your real world into kind of a virtual world as well. Even in the most basic terms, if any of you have used the IKEA app, you can actually kind of look through your furniture list, or like that sofa or that particular wall unit or whatever it is, bit of furniture, and then you can use your mobile phone and place it into the room. And then you can kind of move it around, size it, and see what it would look like if you was to buy that and put it in your room. And then you can kind of walk around it. So it's quite clever, and that's in its infancy. But the headsets are obviously making it much more 360 degrees, much more immersive. And, you know, where does the future go with that? Total Recall, some of you might have remembered the film of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, will we be going and taking our holiday by putting a headset on and getting memories implanted into us? I think that's possible now. And you've got Elon Musk, which I know lots of people boo and hiss about him. But
Boo, hiss.
He's working on brain implants and all sorts of things. So here's me trying to learn sign language. Okay, I'm just kicking off at this very early stage of my goal for this year. And there's a very good chance I could probably go along to a hospital of some description, I imagine, you know, a private hospital, have a little chip implanted, and then I'll be able to do sign language or speak French or, you know, build a ship or whatever it might be. And I do think that's the way it's going to go. The Matrix becomes real. Or does it?
Yeah, well, we know, we don't know enough about it. We could be in the Matrix now, eh? We could easily be. It doesn't feel like it, does it? But it could easily be in the Matrix. And to a degree, we are in the Matrix, because the way we act, the way we behave, the way our culture exists is all kind of dominated and guided by what we're told, what the media thinks. You know, we are kind of, to a degree, manipulated down a certain path. So to a degree, we're already in the Matrix. So it's very difficult to prove that we are in or out of it. Don't know enough about it, to be fair. But the VR space, I think, is interesting. Certainly, we were talking in the early days about what would a chat show look like in a virtual reality space. And I think the plan at some point is to have a VR version of a chat show, so everybody can put their headsets in, join us in the studio, and become part of the audience and guests. It sounds bonkers, doesn't it? But we're already doing a chat show from virtual studios, so we're close. We just haven't got the headsets on.
We're on the path, and that is absolutely one of the goals that we've set ourselves. We had a great guest who's been on a few times over all our shows over the last few years, but Vincent McTagney, he come on to the show, and Vintech was the company, and spoke about VR, XR, AR, MR, and I think we actually said to him, Vincent, we want to do a 3D, a 360 show in that virtual space at some point. And we did touch on it, and hasn't happened yet, but we will revisit that, because how great would that be? We could be in this virtual space. However, I don't think you have legs at the moment. I think in the metaverse that Facebook do, and I don't know if they've launched it, but you didn't have legs. There was a big thing that you were just bodies that floated, so you had no legs.
What, like we have here, look.
Yeah, no legs like we've got now. Yeah, no legs.
Lucky,
but I think that has been fixed. I think that has been fixed. Maybe if Vincent's listening to this, he can tell us: do you get legs now when you're in a VR space? James O'Rourke has put kind of get VR and AR, but metaverse, boom. Yeah, we don't know enough about it, James. It's the answer.
Well, I think there's a massive amount of fascination around the metaverse. This let's say other space, if it is a space, this other universe that from a gaming perspective, right, I think this is where I come from. I get it when someone's playing, let's say, an immersive game, the graphics are so good and it looks kind of real, and think, wow, you kind of lose yourself, especially if you've got a headset on, you lose yourself in that space. But a whole kind of universe that functions, so I can go in, I can buy stuff, I can go for a virtual coffee and chat with virtual people. that stuff, I don't know enough about that. Or is that something that I if I don't opt into that, does that once again make me an old dude that isn't keeping up with the times? Or I don't know. Is it only certain people that would say, yeah, the metaverse is the place to be? Because I like, I like human interactions. I like to sit across the table from someone in reality. But will the metaverse give me that? Don't know enough about it, mate.
But that, as I think some will argue, you will be sitting across the table with someone else in a virtual space. The bit I don't get, and even now, you can go and, buy shoes and clothes and pay for this stuff to put on your animated avatar. And, this stuff's not cheap. And I get it, it's kind of a gamification gaming world. But, people are buying, land. I mean, land, this is just zeros and ones and dots. There's nothing there. But people are paying big money for this. And the money that's being injected into this market is astronomical. The big companies, your Nikes and stuff like that, are putting so much money in because you can try your virtual trainers on and see what they look like. Look, I do think there's a big future. It's just we don't know enough about it at the moment. It's a very unknown, and maybe someone could tell us more and put mine and Nick's mind at rest that we're not going to be old and left out to die at the side of the road because we didn't participate or enjoy it. But communication, Nick, an area of expertise, something that you're passionate about, hence one of the reasons you're where you are at the moment this week. What damage do you think it could do to communication? Is it a different way of communicating? I mean, at the moment, we've gone from face to face, telephone calls, the old days, fax machines, communicating was a way of communicating. Now we've entered this virtual space, working from home and all that type of stuff. And people are going back to face, but there's still a reluctance in some cases. Email, obviously, was a big thing that come in. Text messaging. Now we're talking kind of more messaging systems like WhatsApp and stuff like that. And of course, social media. We're always adapting and developing on the whole communications front. Where do you see this going with this technology, AI, VR, MR, XR? What's your best guess? What's your best guess?
So this is something I do know.
Okay,
yeah, I do know some stuff about because to a degree, I can write the script with certain organizations about what potentially it should look like, could look like. But there was a long time, and when I was writing Modern Zombies, a long time I was not necessarily anti-technology, but I was really worried that it would ruin us. Okay, that worry, that concern still exists, but it's the communication now it's just evolved. Right? I don't think it's as good, but I wouldn't because I come from an old school. But the younger generations will think that's all they've ever had, so it's as good as it's ever been. So it's just evolved, right? Do you know? Oddly enough, right, I'm in the home of where the first ever text message was sent. It was sent in Reading, right? The first text message, 3rd of December, 1992. Right, for some people that's a long time ago, but 1992, that you don't have to go back too far, and that's the first ever text message was sent. And look how it's evolved and the speed. I think it was we talked about it before. Justin Trudeau said the pace of change has never been this fast and will never be this slow again. How it goes going forward, I think you hold on tight because it will go. The evolution of communication will be rocket speed. However, my big concerns and the things I think we need to watch is what do we gain, and probably more important from my perspective, what do we lose? My worry is we lose the human aspects. Right? So if you communicate via technology with some AI assistants, let's say AI write all your emails. They've studied all your emails. They've looked through your inbox. They know your style. They know your stuff. They write all your emails. How long before the responses are AI as well? You don't even need to go near your machine anymore. Your AI writing your emails and responding to your emails. Right? Where is the human injection? Or is there enough in what already exists for it to be as well? Would we know the difference? If you got an email from me, right, and AI had written it, would you know the difference? I think there'll come a time really soon you won't, nor will I.
Yeah. I totally agree, and I do think that space is going to happen. AI can create content, write the email. The AI that receives it picks it up, and if it can deal with it, it will action it and respond to it, and it will then turn it into, from an email that's been sent, into a short to-do list, or break it down into, I've booked your appointment for next Wednesday at 9 o'clock because I saw that your calendar was free and you had nothing beforehand. I checked the traffic and the distance, and and it would do all of that hard work for you. And it might give you, do you wish to accept this? So you do get the final yes or no. But I bet there's a little toggle switch you can say, just do it for me. And it will then start planning our calendars and doing that communication, and that AI will then be taking control. Maybe in some cases for the best, maybe in other cases not. But that's where human communication will certainly reduce, and we're not going to be making the decisions. As I say, I love technology. I think it has a huge place in our future development. I see the next year, certainly the next 10 years, being a huge enhancement and advancement for mankind. It's a shame we just can't get back to the moon after so long. We still haven't managed to do it, but there's a conspiracy behind that, I'm sure. I know we spoke about that on a previous show. You can look it up. I'm not a doubter, but why haven't we done it? We will see what the future holds, of course. But look, I think
let it go, man.
We don't know enough about it. We don't know enough about it. That's the theme of today's show, and we don't know enough about it. That's why we've not done it yet again.
So the beauty of this is, mate, there's so many question marks. Really healthy, because the world moves at a hell of a pace. There's loads of question marks, and I quite like that. Don't know what that's going to look like. Don't know what the future of that. I don't know what the future of work is going to be. Right? Some organizations are saying, right, everyone back to the office. Some organizations, and I think quite rightly so, think, no, we don't need to all go back to the office because we are plenty productive working remotely. However, we are social animals still, so there is still a need to get together. And I think organizations are still kind of working out, what does that getting together look like? What does that need to be? Because I don't think it needs to be back in the office 8 till 6, commute. However, drove to Reading Monday morning. Traffic is bonkers. I thought people were working remotely, and it's a Monday. Right? Every single person in the whole country was on the M25. Guaranteed, everyone. Yeah, and you know it. If you're here in the UK, right, you know that Monday morning you're on the M25 stuck, just like me. I got on it. It was stationary. I thought, whatever happened to remote working? Why is everyone on the road? Bonkers.
It was a day off. They're all on holiday. Vincent was listening and tuning into the show. Good morning, Vincent. If you just joined us, we were talking about you earlier. Ears may have been burning, hence why you tuned in. But Vincent, if the world was perfect, and it isn't, we all know that, AI and machine learning will take the load off our day-to-day stuff, enabling humans to become more creative at music, art, creativity, love. All human qualities, interesting stuff. I agree with all that. You do put music and art and creativity, but we were questioning, would AI be able to do it better anyway than the human? Could the AI create better music, produce better art, and do all those creative things better than the human could do? Maybe not today, but certainly in the not too distant future. I don't know. We don't know enough about it.
Right, so you got your Spotify playlist, okay, and at the moment, it as far as we know, right, it's a load of bands and singers and stuff like that, and we kind of know who they are, and Spotify will suggest, oh, if you like that, you'll like this. How long before you've also got the option with Spotify or an equivalent? Okay, the music is similar, but it's all generated by AI, right? So if you're a Coldplay fan, don't worry, AI have got a playlist that's Coldplay-ish, because it's listened to Coldplay, and it's produced a load of other new music, right? And maybe it's cheaper than Spotify, but it's just not the bands, so they don't have to pay, a penny royalty. They can pay a fraction of that. And do you think, no, I want the original artists, or actually I'm happy enough, I quite like the new stuff that AI's produced? I don't know enough about that.
Great question. Great question. I've just written that down. I'm going to, put a copyright and some intellectual property around that. What a great concept.
And I don't know enough about copyright either, right? So off goes the AI, right, into the web world and says, right, I will learn everything there is. Let's say I will look at all the images and I will get the best collection of ideas around art. So if you ask me anything, I can create art because I've been into the web and I've had a look at everything. Okay, and that raises copyright issues. I know Getty Images have a big issue at the moment because I think, and I could be wrong about this, I think they've granted licenses to some AI organizations to use their database for AI learning. But other organizations, other AI organizations, haven't asked permission. Off go the bots, and there is a question mark and potentially a court case at the moment saying, well, that's copyright infringement because your AI bot has learned from our images, which are copyright protected. So I don't know enough about that. I think there's some lawyers who probably don't know enough about that, who maybe some AI lawyers who potentially could get quite rich over that.
Yeah, there's a massive legal battle there waiting to unfold and law to be written. And of course, it's going to have to become global law, not just, local law as well. So
global law.
Global
we don't
law.
know enough about that. Does that exist? Global law?
Well, isn't it going to be global law for something like a metaverse or
how can it be? What if right, Brexit taught us anything? What if the UK say, all right, so if your bot is based in the UK, then this is the law that applies. Oh, no problem. I'll base my bot in Dublin then. Or Gibraltar.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, isn't it, at the moment with virtual private networks and all that type of stuff. You can be somewhere else and get things cheaper and different versions of it, but ultimately it's the same thing. We're running out of time, Nick, because obviously we're doing our new shorter style shows and stuff like that, but we want to do a bit of a plug and an ask, a big ask, actually. We've asked all our previous friends of the show. They've had an email that's dropped into their inbox. If you haven't had it, let us know and we'll get it forwarded to you because we're asking all our friends of the show to give us a top tip. One of the things that we love to do on the show, every time we have a guest, we ask them for their top tips, typically around business, but it could be anything that they've learned in their lifetime. So they'd go back and tell their younger self or give some guidance or advice to others. And we're compiling, and we are in the process of doing this as we speak at the moment, all these ideas, and we're creating a book. This is just a snapshot of the front cover, not necessarily the front cover that we're going to have, but it's called Top of the Tips. And basically, it's 100 amazing top tips to transform your business and it says probably your life too, but I'm confident it will definitely transform your life. So what we're asking is anyone that watches this show, you now have an opportunity to contribute towards that as well. We can't promise because we've got lots of top tips coming through. We've had nearly, Nick, we've had nearly 200 guests join us in the studio over the last, well, we haven't hit 2 years yet, but we had nearly 200 guests join us in the studio from our morning shows to our from breakfast to our evening shows and our special shows as well, which is phenomenal. Thank you to you all. So we've asked all of those. We're asked all of those. So we will have probably more tips than we can handle, but we're going to do more than one volume. So volume 1, you might be lucky enough to get in there. So what we want you to do, share your top tip. Now you can do that in lots of different ways. You can email us, but we will send you a form back. I'm going to put the form into the chat right now. And if you want to contribute, just click on the link, fill out the Google form. It's nice, simple, and easy. And then you potentially would be able to get your top tip in our book. There we go. I'm going to actually post it. It seems to have broken up the message into a couple of messages there. So I'm going to put the Google form separately as well for those.
Well done. And good morning to the lovely Emma Cook, who's had her email. Previous guest of the show. Hello, Emma. Good morning to you. Hope all is well down in Wales. And to respond, polish that top tip, send it back to us, and get yourself in the first volume of Top of the Tips, the Chatbox analog, potentially analog book. And worst case, we'll just get AI to write them all, mate. And we'll sit back, smoke a big fat cigar, and let AI do all the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So get your top tips coming in. The book will be coming out in the not too distant future, certainly in the next few months, and it's going to be published in paper format, and no doubt it will be in digital format for those that prefer to read it on a tablet or Kindle or something like that. And maybe, you never know, we might turn it into an audio version as well. How great would that be? You and I narrating the book. People will love it.
We should do that. That'd be great fun, wouldn't it? Great fun. Great fun. We might go off on a tangent, but that sounds like a great idea.
You know, this might have crossed our mind. Like, we get all our contributors to contribute their own little part in our audio book under their voice. Brilliant. Anyway, lots of exciting stuff coming around that, so do watch this space. But yeah, that's it really. That's all we've got time for this week. What don't you know enough about? Well, it appears that we don't know enough about anything. We think we're educated, but it seems like Nick and I are not. What about you? At home there, maybe in the office, do you know enough about everything? Or are you still on that learning curve? Every day is a school day. Who knows? Any final words for our listeners, viewers, podcast listeners to wrap up today's breakfast show?
Well, just go out there into the world with a spirit of curiosity and courage. And let's just admit we don't know enough about a lot of stuff. So let's hang a question mark on even some of the things we take for granted. Let's hang a question mark on those from time to time. And let's go out and explore. Keep those adventures coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it. That's all we've got time for this week. We are back next Thursday morning from 8 o'clock in the virtual studio. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And cheerio from me.